Good morning, everybody. This is Irene Weisman, and today is Thursday, December 12th, 2024. Today, I wanted to talk about something called logistics. What do I mean by that? Rescheduling your USCIS interviews and appointments. So, very important topic because unfortunately, often cases get denied because USCIS did not timely receive or properly receive your request to reschedule. So let's talk about rescheduling the biometrics appointment first, because that tends to be a little bit easier. For example, you did not, you received the notice, but you're going to be away or you can't make it, you have a prior engagement, you're going to be away. Or sometimes the USPS messed up and they received, let's say it's not an e-filed case and it's a paper-based filed case, and you received your biometrics request late, the date has already passed. What do you do? Okay, backtrack for a second. What is biometrics? When you submit your case with immigration and they do not have recent fingerprints and photos, they will send you in to do that. That's called biometrics. When they take your fingerprints, it's actually, I don't believe it's all of them, it's just two, maybe it's all of them. Anyways, they do fingerprints and they take your photos. That's called biometrics. That's required in all immigration cases. Very, very important, especially in the context of asylum. But in any immigration case, if you fail to attend a biometrics appointment, that could result in the denial of your case for abandonment because you didn't show up. So you can't make it or you received it too late. What do you do? On every USCIS notice, hold on, let me see if I can show you one. On every USCIS notice, so I'm going to cover up the important information here. At the bottom of the notice, okay, there is, see the barcode, and on top of the barcode, there is this information. And it gives you a phone number, okay? It's a 1-800 number where to call, okay? Actually on this, so here's a biometrics notice. I'll show you exactly what it looks like. This is, I'm covering up the top so that you can see the private information, okay? But this is sort of the bottom of it. And this is an actual biometrics appointment notice, okay? And if you can't make it, it tells you exactly what to do right over here, okay? So you sort of just gotta read it, but it gives you the phone number where to call. But if you have a portal, if you have a USCIS account, you can actually reschedule it through your USCIS, through your My USCIS, through your USCIS account. If you don't know how to do that, or if you can't figure it out, you can call the 1-800 number listed. Just basically follow the instructions on the biometrics notice. Call them. When you call USCIS, the rule is, well, once you get to the agent, you always write the agent ID, their name, and at the end of the phone call, they will give you a number. It's called a reference number. It consists of letters and numbers, and that's proof that you have made this phone call and you spoke to an agent and you requested a particular service, okay? That happens with every phone call with USCIS. Very, very important to keep that. That's your proof, okay? And that's how these reschedules are made. So that's biometrics, okay? Now, what if you are called in for an interview, whether it's a green card interview or citizenship interview? and you can't make it, or let's say it's a green card interview, your spouse can't make it, somebody is away for a business trip, or you had vacation planned, you can't cancel it. Basically the rule of thumb is you want to make it to those appointments, okay? The goal is to try and make all those appointments. But if for one reason or another you can't, then this is what we're gonna do, what we're discussing here today. So if it's an interview and you can't make it for a valid reason, or you have you have an attorney and your attorney can't make it, okay, because they have a scheduling conflict, okay, how do you reschedule those interviews? This is actually a two-step process. Step number one is you gotta call the 1-800 number, okay? You have to call them. You have to explain that you can't make this appointment. Here's the reason why. You make sure you get that agent ID and the reference number for the phone call, okay? Once you have that, if you are represented by an attorney, then your attorney will write the letter. But if you are not represented by an attorney, the second step, so just calling, is not enough. Then what you have to do is you have to write a letter to the district office where your appointment is scheduled, and you have to ask them to reschedule your interview. You'll have to let them know that you have called the 1-800 number, the USCIS 1-800 number. You have to give them the agent name, ID, and the reference number for the phone call, and you have to provide proof why you can't make it. So basically, if you or your spouse have a trip scheduled, then the itinerary. If it's a prior engagement of some sort, then proof of that. You got to give them proof. Okay, you got to give them something. There is no guarantee that they'll reschedule your request, okay? But that's the procedure, and you basically hope and pray that this two-step process will lead to the proper rescheduling. Occasionally it doesn't, and then it's a big mess, and we have to do things very fast right away. But if the request was properly done, if you followed those two steps, then hopefully, it should work. The problem is that you'll probably end up waiting for a long time for them to reschedule that interview, okay? Especially if it's like a 751 interview or a green card interview. You may end up waiting for quite a bit of time for the district office to reschedule, for them to have another slot to interview you. But that's the risk you take when you reschedule the interview, okay? That's why you try to make it to the appointment, to the scheduled appointment. And if for some reason you can't, I've certainly had it happen before. Unfortunately, I've once had actually a situation where I was supposed to appear telephonically, and it was an elderly client, and it was her green card interview, and elderly woman en route to USCIS. She didn't feel well, so her daughter, they turned around the car and they went straight to the emergency room. She was afraid, mom had heart problems. Straight to the emergency room. I'm sitting there waiting for the phone call. Nothing is happening. A couple of hours later, she calls me. She tells me this is what happens. So I right away called USCIS. I explained to them what happened, took down the agent ID and the reference number. And then upon release from the hospital, I had, those documents, and I wrote to USCIS. They rescheduled that interview, thankfully. And she has long been a green card holder, so that worked out well. But sometimes it's a true emergency, and you're on your way to USCIS and you can't make it because something happened. But you just gotta follow those steps to make sure that the interview is properly rescheduled to minimize the risk of the denial for no-show. Okay, hopefully this information helped you. Have a great day, everybody. Irene Weisman.